Oh, hello. Let's see if this thing's gonna work or not. Hope it does. Let's give them a few moments. Okay. Is this thing working? Sure hope so. Let's change a few settings here. Okay, I guess this should do it. And we should be soon streaming live. Nice. Let's check if we are online. Okay. Now I need to know where this window that I'm showing you right now is coming from. It's definitely not the one I was looking for, and I think I'll have to change the streaming setup. Yes, I will have to rejoin because the OBS Studio is not showing anything right now. It captures some old screen of mine. I will be back shortly. Yeah, I have some difficulties right now with screen captures, so just give me a few moments and I will rejoin. Okay, I think I should be back now. Let me just check if the audio is working. Yeah, okay. So yesterday I was trying to get the calls made by the front end into the OpenTelemetry collector. It worked well, although there were some discrepancies between what the browser was reporting as the duration of the call as opposed to the JMeter. So just as a reminder, maybe I'm just gonna open up the script here. I'm using a few events triggered by the DevTools listeners. So they are callbacks invoked by the DevTool listeners in certain events. So I'm targeting the response received, request intercepted, request will be sent. What else was there? Loading finished events. So these are the calls that I'm tracking right now. What I'm still missing from here is the what was that? Request will be coming from cache, I guess. The events for cached calls. Let me open up a API here that I'm referring. So this is my reference page. I'm also using Java docs because I'm doing the I'm using the Binsha Groovy script, so I'm constrained to the Java libraries, but the events and the domains, they are exactly the same here. So the format of these calls is just exactly the same. So I have the response received signal. I have the request will be sent. Oh, that's the one I'm looking for. So requests served from cache. I will just look it up here. Selenium Java docs, because I want to know whether the call is coming from cache, so it doesn't go outside, or maybe it's going from the like it's calling the backend. My version is 1.2.5, but I'm not sure why the Java docs have not been published for this version. So I'm using the one here, 104. And let's see the network. network package, and I want a signal for request will be called from cache. Okay, so there is no signal for that here. Yes, let's see this event again. Looking for a network model. Request serve from cache. That's the one, and it does return a request ID object. Right, so I have here request serve for cache, and it throws an event. So it's a callback event that's going to give me the request ID. So I need to also add a signal capture for that in here. Request serve from cache, and I have to specify the consumer back in the request ID, and the request ID, I don't have it imported yet. So let's see how this is defined. You know what, maybe if someone's interested, maybe I can just, yeah, I think what I'm gonna do, I will put up a link on LinkedIn if someone's interested for this live event. Maybe they will also join. Let's see. Let's try to gather a few more folks, because this live was definitely not planned. And probably somebody will be interested in that. Just give me a few moments. Let's try to get some more folks here. How do I get the link for the stream? Where do I get the link for the stream? Damn it, I don't think I like it here on YouTube. Just setting things up now. Where are my streams? Live streams. Okay, this isn't going, so I can share the link somewhere. Get me the link, and I will publish here on LinkedIn that we're going live. Not sure these folks want to see that, but I will spam them anyways. Because why not? Damn it, I'm still learning this stuff. I can't see that's what I'm typing here, right? Of course you can't. All right. Nice, there's my face in there. So I've shared that on LinkedIn. Let's see if someone joins. All comments are welcome. and let's start. Okay, so I want to cover the event that the browser is getting is calling for the backend, but but it was instructed to get it from the cache. So it returns a request ID inside the event, and this guy is a request ID, so I just should use it as the string. That's okay, because that's my reference, my main reference to keep track of the spans. It's not a standard implementation of the spans, so I think that should do it. Okay, I need to, of course, import these. It's loading requests, and I need to open this model of the request ID. I sure think this should be the case. Loading finished. I need a request ID. Is that the correct class? What I hate about developing stuff with JMeter is that there is no debugging, there is no autocomplete or anything. It's just raw code. So you really need to have a lot of experience with typing this code in a notepad to get these tests properly. You can, of course, use a IDE and then copy it over, but then still it's a bit problematic. If you guys have any other better ways to implement that, open for suggestions, but I haven't found anything worth exploring yet. Okay, request ID, it's here. I'm pretty sure that's the correct one. It's a model from request ID, yes. So I have created a few functions for supports for functions that would give me a span, and that will create me a span, or it's going to get it from the cache. Because all of these events are asynchronous, they may also even be colliding with each other. So what I've seen today, for example, that they have been colliding pretty badly, especially if they are executing one by one in a tight timeline. So I had to create a helper function to get me or create a span, and this thing is synchronized. So for every request ID, so main reference for each of the requests, it will block the thread until it will block this function so that no other thread is going to access it, because these events that we put in the listeners on, they are not executed in the context of the same thread, so they can just be executed out of order. They are all asynchronous, and it can happen that you can reference the same object at the same time. Right, so to avoid any collisions there, I'm just adding a synchronized function here, and then I can access the span I want, so it gets from my cache. That should be fine, I guess. Okay, so listener requests served from cache, and it calls for the customer. I need to override. Accept, and it goes for request ID. Now going for request ID here, and I need to okay, now I have a span object, and I'm gonna request ID to string. Add event for a request served from cache. This event will be triggered as I receive it. I'm not sure this is also the correct way yet for adding the span events as they arrive. So as these events are triggered, I may have to add a timestamp there somewhere, but right now there will be just the events affiliated with a certain span that I'm generating for every call that the frontend is doing. let's test it out. Let's see if this thing works for any cached events. Okay. Didn't break, at least. Let's see if we can open this or not. There are some errors, of course. Yep, that's my bad. See, and that's one of the problems with this lack of IDE here. So I have not closed this bracket here. My bad. So this event didn't work, and I think the rest of it wasn't compiled. So I'm also thinking that probably WebDriver sampler, the Groovy here, is not cache compiled. But that's just my wild guess right now. But I'm seeing that the code here is a bit slower than I would use in a JSR 223 sampler. So that's also worth exploring. Maybe I should move this code to the JSR 223 sampler directly. Okay, so I have here some events. It's not override from superclass, but it's only with override. Okay, that's an interesting thing here. Method accept doesn't. That's weird. Because the consumer should accept this request ID. If it's not a method accept does not override from subclass or interface, but it's annotated with override. That's weird. Why is that the case? Huh? I haven't rehearsed it, sorry. So if you guys are watching it here, you will see me struggling. That's part of the development. Why would it not from here? So request from cache. This guy should accept. Oh. Let's see if that's the case here. I doubt it would save anything, but because he was complaining about the interfaces. Oh, actually it did. Okay. I still have some problems with occasional lack of request IDs for some events captured. I'm not sure why would that be. So this gets here, line 50 of my code, and get request ID. So at the request intercepted, some of the request intercepted calls do not have a ID. I'm not sure what that is. So let's try to invoke that. Capture. No such element exception. Guess E. Let's see what details we actually have about it. So the thing here is, if we do not continue with the intercepted request, it may be stalled in the browser. I think that's exactly what's happening here. Also, I'm going to replace this request intercepted because this was deprecated already, and the API is suggesting a new package for that. Let's see how this goes. Okay, request intercepted. yeah, let's try to invoke that. Try request get request ID get right. So I just want a request ID null for that matter. Should be fine. I know that Groovy doesn't like me. That doesn't like Groovy code should not have any semicolons, but I'm used to using the semicolons and more Java-like code, because then it's easier if you have for example, a load runner scripts that are written in Java, so you can just copy them over and they just work. So that's one of the things for to consider when you are developing in code. Okay, so try get the request ID. Request ID. If it's not there, that's weird because you need a interception ID here. Why would it then still work? I'm fairly sure that once this event is triggered, the calls on the backend has been stalled. But suppose that's not the case here. Okay, let's just if I don't have a request ID here, I'm just going to send it further. I don't care really about that, but I need, I cannot even create a span for that, because for the spans I'm relying on the request IDs here. If it's just interception ID, I would not be able to close it anywhere. So that's a bummer. Let's keep it like that. Let's return whatever. Yes. So if it cannot get the request ID to string, then it should just return. It should just act as a proxy and just continue with this request. Otherwise, it should just create a span with a request ID. Okay, bit of cleanup here, so I don't have these errors. Now the test is still progressing. Again, we should be using some pauses and probably wait for some events. I will be adding the page events also here to the spans that I'm using for in actions. So when you, for example, navigate through the page and use some actions here like clicking buttons or anything, I would also add some events or the callouts to track these events, right? The DevTools API also shares these. Okay, I got some error. Of course, unexpected input. I think I messed up with some functions here. So as usual, no help from the IDE whatsoever. Oh, hi Matthew, it's nice to see you. I cannot see the comments yet here over my tools that I'm using, but it's nice to see you on the screen. So I will be here for a while, so grab your lunch, but it's nice to see you here. Okay, this happened on a request intercepted. If you want some debugging, if you want to debug the Groovy code, usually if it's not a compilation error, you would see, I've cleaned this, so I'll also show you a nice trick that I've learned, that you can actually see exactly which line had your error occurred. But right now I want to find a function request intercepted, because apparently I have messed up with some. Why Why would it complain about it? Okay. This guy here. This has been closed. Okay, I have here a try catch block. This guy. Oh, all right. I think this one. Yep. This should be fine, I guess. No. See, it comes down even to counting the parentheses here. Okay, so the try. This is the only block that I've added here. Request ID. That should be fine because that's defined already, so it's fine to have it undefined yet. Where is this guy closed? It's here. Then we have this curly brackets here, and the listener also should be closed. Is that right? Yeah, I could have a return here, I guess. Is it the return statement? No, I don't think, because this should still, if I continue with this intercept request, it's not gonna do much. Oh, where did I add this return statement? That's interception. Where is this guy from? Okay, that's a send element, and here you'll be adding the return statement. See, that's at least my problem, so maybe you guys don't have it. But it's also good practice to really, learn what the code is doing instead of just relying on the IDEs, unless you really want, just the velocity in code. Okay, let's see if this has helped. Now it doesn't do anything, so I think I broke the interception code. It doesn't even fall through. I think it broke it, so I don't think I should be actually forwarding this code, this call, or continuing this code. Let's see what the error is. No such property, get request ID for the request intercepted. Why is that the case? Request intercepted should have request ID. It's response received. Yeah, request ID. It's not a property, of course, it should be a function. All right. Okay, this page is opening. That's fine, I guess. No errors. And now what we should, there are some errors. That's the one just at the execution. I still haven't figured out, or I don't really care what that error is about. It's always happening at the startup. I don't think it's even an error. It just prints out the details with some session ID. So just a stack trace. I don't think that's much of a problem. There are some events here, but I don't see them closing. Let's see right now on my, okay, can I open here one of the windows? This guy, I want to open my signals. I'm not even sure what it should be called. I want to see some events. Okay. these are some calls. I want to click the manifesto. There's still some issues here with naming the spans, because when I've changed, some of the implementations here, they suddenly all of the received responses have changed their class, I guess. I'm not sure what exactly changed there, but we should also be seeing here the events like response received will be sent. Okay, that's one of them. What about will be served from cache? Okay, that's the one here. So see here, request served from cache. So this is the first one of the first events that had occurred. The next one is going to be will be sent, and after that we got a response received, right? This is how we can define that the request has been indeed served from cache. I think I'll just add it as the attribute, maybe as a boolean. So is from cache or not, and it's going to be easier because we trace all of these events. So and then I will have to add this as a name for cache. Although I think it's pretty implementation. But then if you have if you want to compare the same calls and this to see why these certain ones were different, it's always better to maintain the same naming. But having an attribute of hey, this came from cache, I think should be nicer. Let's try to do that. So if I see a call getting from cache. So first of all, for whatever reason, this is the logic that it decides about the naming here. So after I have received a response, I get a few parameters here. So this is the get request plus get method plus get request get URL. For whatever reason, get method doesn't exist. I guess. Oh yeah, it wouldn't exist for the response, so that's why. So the response would not exist here, so I can just delete the cache here, I guess. And let's update the name here. First to the URL. I know it's not pretty. We're gonna be modifying it later. Because when I'm just gonna use the URL, it's gonna end up with URL and all the URI and the query parameters. So it's going to end up like this, right? And if you name your spans like this, with all the parameters and the files, it's going to make your life way harder than it should be. So I think the notion of calling the URI only without the query parameters or entering the query parameters as suggested by the OpenTelemetry, that's going to be way easier. So yeah, I think let's try to modify this logic here. For now, I'm just going to use the URL, but later we're going to also modify this, how the span should be named. And also, I want to add this attribute that it was sent from cache, which I already know at the event of will be sent from cache, right? Request served from cache, so I can add span set attribute is served from cache, and I can just add a true, right? Is that correct? Can I just add a boolean attribute here, or should I use some attribute context? Nah. I'm pretty sure I'm adding attributes somewhere here. Am I? Oh, I'm doing it here. So set attribute. Yeah, I can just add this here. Cool. So right now, when there's a call from cache, although I think it would be prettier if I just call them cached something. If I want to run an analysis on the calls, I would rather calculate the cache hit rate for specific events and just have them in the same group. But I do think that this here is way prettier. So reset focus, so I know which calls have been cached, which not. Right. So that's just me, maybe. Okay. But from the operational point, if I want to run statistics, I would want to have a this endpoint here, for example. So I want to know, or some resource here, and I want to analyze which resource took that long and why, right? So there's the pretty and there's the useful part of the analysis. Cool. Let's start here. Let's test it out if these events would show up here, and if we're gonna see a new attribute is served from cache. And it's something cool. It may take a few seconds for the service to pop up here. Click manifesto. I want the latest one invoked just about now, so it still has not been sent by JMeter. Let's see if there were any errors. It appears there weren't any. That's good. It's actually not half bad. This still shows the old version, but the new ones should appear any seconds, if at all. Let's see if it's the case here. Yes, that's the one. Okay, so you see here, this guy has showed up here. You have a service name, blah, blah. This, I think, should be cached. So, no, it probably wasn't. Why don't I see these attributes anywhere? Okay, this has been cached, right? So is it served from cache? Yes, it's true. It's a Boolean attribute. So then I can see why certain spans have been different. Also later, this operation has to be cleaned up somehow, but it's hard to define really, because it is not if you have a instrumentation from the server side, this is going to be way easier, right? Because that's you can just query for the endpoint. You can also get the method that was invoked by the server, and that's it. From the front end perspective, the intention here is a bit different. I'm not sure really how to resolve that, because we have no really control over what's been sent by the browser and where. So they should be speaking. Yeah, I think the endpoint or the resource type, we can just extract this somehow in here and stick with the URI. Let's see if we can extract it somehow. Maybe we can just move it. Response received. This is getting us some data here. We can also get the response. Loader ID, we can get the response, we can get the resource type. That's a useful one, I guess. What is the resource type? It's an enum. Should we add these as attributes? I think we should. But we can also do it later. Right now, I want to also focus on the events that are page events. I have not heard about the Perf stage in EU, but I will definitely want to see this. Cool. That's good news. Okay. So we can add this as attribute. I think this should not hurt us at all. But I want to focus on the events that are triggered from the page, right? Because you can get some page events, as in when the page was loaded, when the page has been completed, the DOM events, stuff like that. You can extract it from the DevTools. And the thing is, where are these? I think they will be here in the network protocols. So I think there was a list here. Events. So the network events would be in here. Where did I see the page events? Okay, these are the page events. We can capture all the events. You know what? Actually, I have consulted. It's hard to call it consulting, but I have checked with a ChatGPT on available signals, although ChatGPT is still like trained on some old and outdated data. I have to see what it actually did get me. Okay. This here, let's just add maybe. This here, these are the events that a GPT had suggested subtracting, because I'm really not a browser expert, just learning this stuff. So it's way easier if I do it like this. So these are the page events that I would listen to. And we can add these as events to the span for each of the actions. I guess we can just add here. Okay, for the DOM events, for any time we update the document or insert or remove a child node, I don't think that's like it's going to explode the event here. I'm not sure we actually want to trace that, but for the frames or loading events, what do you guys think? Should we add these or not? Because definitely if we just trigger that, they would pop up here as events on where's that? Where's my window here? I'm sorry, the streaming here is still new to me, so I'm still learning. So they would show up in here. So if I have an action span, they would show up in here, just like I have the core web vitals, right? So I have a CLS here, LCP, time to first byte, and whatnot. But in the oh no, sorry, they would actually show up here. So in events, right? Then we could just have a full event timeline of what happened with the during the rendering, right? So you can have an insights also on the rendering part of these events. That's, I think, one of the factors to consider. But I'm also expecting you guys to chip in here. Maybe if there's something that I've missed, or maybe there should be other attributes in here. For now, what we have here is a full span of each action. So if you have a task here with all the action. So these represent, and should be representing the physical action of the user, right? So the user opens the page, and then we get the core vitals. It opens like some nav bar is rolling out. It also should be there, and then we get the core vitals, right? And then we click some link here, and it also should gather core vitals. That's the main idea here, right? Because we not only want to get statistics for that, but also we want to affiliate the metrics that you're capturing with specific actions on your page, right? Because I'm guessing if the Google is just collecting these those numbers and collecting these metrics, they would also do it statistically by whatever your user is doing, right? So it's not just gonna go through all these available buttons and widgets that you have on the site. It's going to do that by measuring the user's actions and their metrics, right? So I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, so what we have completed today, we have added the events for all the backend calls that the browser would do. We also have added the tags. Hold on a second, this isn't right. This should be served from cache, but it doesn't have a tag that was sent from cache. Why would that be? That's probably some of the older spans. Why would this be different? Nah, this says here request served from cache, but it doesn't have this event. It's unexpected. It should have, because I'm adding here an event and I'm adding an attribute. So this attribute should be also added here. I'm gonna have to debug this later. Or probably I'm just using some old requests. Let's try this again. Let's not sure what the culprit here will be. Is it because the span is still active for these events? Because we can get here the request served from cache, we can add the event, but we don't see the attribute, right? So these are the two actions we do if we trigger the request served from cache event. This one is showing up. This one is not. That's odd. Okay, let's and they refer to the same object, so there is no way that they will just disappear. It could be, for example, possible if we had added this event here and we had deleted this span or ended this span prematurely, right? So if there's a tight gap between this event here, so it's going to be request served from cache, and the event that we actually ended on, so which would be response received. So if there is a difference here, if there's a tight difference, since these are all events that are asynchronous, one could guess that they would be ended, right? But if that's the case, they would also be some error that the span has been ended, and I cannot add any attributes. Okay, let's see for the new ones. Let's see if I can see the new traces for the service. Also, there is this high P95 volume here. I'm not sure that's correct. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's not correct. I'll also have to check whether I don't have any spans that have not been closed. but that's also something for the future. So the latest one, it took 3 seconds. Why did it take 3 seconds? Because this guy took 2.43 seconds. So see here, that's exactly the stuff you would want to look into, right? If you see the call, okay, I've clicked the manifesto, but it didn't like roll out, and this here is just asking for the new page, right? And you can see here that the cookie bar JS has been loaded for a 2.5 seconds. You can tell it already that it was a slow backend call that had caused this problem, right? So you can see that it wasn't cached. You can see when the response has been received. Yeah, that's exactly the stuff I'm hoping to get when I'm running a test. Even if this service doesn't belong to me, if it's delivered from some CDN, you should have an explanation of why did a click of a single page take 3 seconds, right? And you can see that already in the OpenTelemetry, and I think that's the best purpose of this observability platform, because if you want to drill down to the backend and how the backend behaves, most of the APMs would do it, say, almost right. But with OpenTelemetry, if you can have a full drill down of the calls here, that's the best way really to troubleshoot these. And let's see if I get here the events. Okay, this guy shows the event here, right? So you can see the event. It was sent from cache. Let's focus on that. So it wasn't closed that prematurely, I guess. Is served from cache is true, right? So whenever I'm gonna have a calls like that, I would just confirm, hey, that this is going from cache, and this should also match if I have the reset focus. These pages should also match if I have a network tag tab opened. I'm gonna see, okay, this call here, the cookie bar JS 2.43 seconds. If I look at the call here from Signos, it's 2.43 seconds, right? There is a slight difference on how these things are measured, and I think I'll have to also account on the asynchronicity of these calls. Most of these events that are triggered, I think they also come with timestamps. So I will be probably slightly modifying these these actions here when I'm adding events to the span. You can also specify the timestamp exactly when this event occurred. I may be doing that if I see then again some more discrepancy between those measurements, right? But mostly it was okay. I saw like a few milliseconds difference. I think 15 milliseconds was the top of what I've seen. But this also accounted for, if you look at the browser calls here and here, and if you want to, okay, this one was taken from memory. Let's go for manifesto. Timing. The queuing would not be a part of the call from the DevTools. I'm not sure. And the content download also, I could not find. So let's see, for example, the manifesto here. Chrome is reporting 110 milliseconds to get the manifesto URL, right? And if we go to the if you want to go to this platform, it was 93 milliseconds, right? So there is a small discrepancy here. I'm pretty sure from what I'm seeing here, this doesn't really capture the content download part. I'm not sure why that would be, because I'm getting a the events between when the request will be sent and when I got the response back. So this got me thinking maybe I should also add these events here, timings, so we can get some more insights there based on the timestamps provided by the DevTools, as opposed to getting these events traced. Because internally, I'm guessing that's how it's done. There's some event queue in the browser, and the event is triggered, and then there will be few callbacks to various endpoints. So the event has to happen, and then there might be some delay between the event and between when we got the event details. Right, especially when we are talking about DevTools, so they have to communicate over the proxy to the WebDriver, so it's not an immediate callback. They're not in the same space, they're not in the same memory even, so there will be some delay in here, obviously, right? So to increase the accuracy, I think I should also include these timestamps here for these events, and we will have more accurate details. But these differences are really right now measured in milliseconds, so I don't think it's much of a deal for now, but still something to still something worth noting, that hey, you're not gonna have the same timing here that you're gonna see in the browser network tab, right? So that's worth noting here. What else is there? So we have here these events, and also I'm thinking, since we will be adding those page events, like for example a load events, we could also trace probably the page events, whether they all finished at the rendering, so we don't have to wait for an explicitly state condition for when we stop measuring the page loads. I'm not sure that's doable. I will be looking at it later. I don't want to also see me struggling with that, because that's purely exploratory right now for me, since I'm not really a browser expert. So the best way I could come up with right now for measuring the duration of a transaction is to trigger an action and set up some point of reference for me, that I want some elements to be clickable, for example, on a page, and this is where my sample is triggered. This is important for me because I want to capture also the core web vitals that are triggered during that time, right? So I want to actually have some metrics for the core web vitals, and I want to also capture all the calls and metrics done by the browser. This because if I stop measuring that and stop this context of this sampler prematurely, and I move on to the next one, what's the worst that can happen is that the events from this call may land up reporting on the next one, right? So you're going to have a skew of the events, of the span children's. They will land on the next one because the events landed here, so the events triggered by the listeners would be invoked asynchronously, and they will just get affiliated to any existing span that there is, right? So the current span, this is actually the current span is stored in a context. In my case, it is actually not. And that's also something I'm going to have to change. Because when I create a span for a transaction, so for each operation, I just put it as a variable in the thread, right? So normally what you would do, instead of getting these as variables, so you would just have a make current, and this gets affiliated with a context, right? So then you can extract, your thread context and make a span out of it. That's how the Java implementation of the sampler is working. Of a OpenTelemetry is working. So if you want a span here, that's you just take the current context, and the OpenTelemetry would know which span to use, right? And then if you go down deeper, once you end the span, it is also going to select the current, like the parent of the span as the current one, right? So even if you, for example, do not have a reference to this current span at all times, Java would just pick up it from the current context. At least that's how I understand it. Okay, cool. So we have here the OpenTelemetry done, at least to some extent. We have all these calls. Like let's count them. Maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 calls together. Affiliated. Okay, then of course I'm counting it, but there's a button here down. So there's been 16 requests with this call, and let's see how many did we forward to signals. 17, including this one. Okay, that's exactly the number. Okay, so we're capturing all the calls right now. They are all measured. There is a slight difference in the measurements, but I guess that's fine for now, at least. If the gap is too high, we will be looking at these events. Okay, it is 2 p.m. already today. I think I will be finishing for the day. I know it's kind of boring, but if you guys are into this stuff, we can make it more structured, and we can schedule this more frequently, so you guys will see how to implement the stuff and how it works internally. My idea here is to close the gap really between the front end and the back end testing, to help you visualize and assess the impact of the delays on the back end on your front end, so you can make decisions and assess your SLIs, especially if you have a separated teams for front end and for the back end, and that's how I see really doing it. Oh, hey Momen, it's nice to see you here. I will be once I'm done with this development and I will clean up this code here, I will definitely push it to GitHub, so you can also see that. Yeah, and but right now it's nowhere near complete or something that that is really worth showing or demoing anywhere. Right, it's still missing the page events. It's still missing, some details here. There's a lot of stuff we can add here from the response, for example, that we have not yet. So, for example, the request types, protocols, stuff and stuff like that. So there's still a lot of things to cover. Cool. So thank you everyone for attending the live webinar. I hope this was not too boring, and I just noticed that, hey, my face is way too big for the screen. Sorry for that. You guys probably have not even seen a half of it. Cool. I'm gonna change it later. So I'm still learning this. Sorry then for any inconvenience. If you guys have any suggestions on what to change, what to add in the format, then let me know. I'm still willing to learn. If you want to learn some more, go more technical in that, I can also start that. If you want a less technical and just copy paste the code, I'm afraid I'm not just here to to give you the ready examples. That's not the way I want you to learn, because there is plenty of stuff you can just copy paste from code. But if you really learn the deep dives and how the mechanism works underneath, you can just implement it yourself, right? That's at least what I believe is a valid form of learning, instead of just copy pasting the ready solutions. Because if I just paste, if I just right now give it all that I've created for now, there's gonna be a lot of questions of how this thing works. No one's gonna really know how to update it, and that's not really the way I want to work here. Cool. So thank you very much for attending, and yeah, the video is going to be on YouTube available, so you can just get back to it any time you want. And if you have any suggestions, any ideas for implementation, I'm open for it. Thank you. How do I stop the stream? Oh, paid courses. I'm still considering that. That's one of the things. What I'm still missing for the paid courses is really a platform and a sandbox to teach that, right? And I'm actually in development of that. So I'm working on a pseudo functional application that has a lot of integrations with each other. So I'll show it to you. I'll show it to you later. That I'm going to be using for teaching stuff like protocols, how various integration works. There's going to be REST, there's going to be HTTP, there's going to be gRPC, and some Kafka, MQ, stuff like that, right? So but this has to be also functional. I did it once like 6 years ago, but I don't think I have the rights to actually use this application anymore. So I'm just starting from scratch, and it's in the development. So yeah, but I'm not even sure which tools I'll be using for that. So whether it's just gonna be JMeter or some other company will just grant me the licenses for their product, which I'm also open to. So I'm not really constrained to JMeter. It's just the only tool that I can expand myself and make some crazy stuff with it. So yeah, that's a part of a plan, right? For me to do some courses. I'm not sure whether they're going to be JMeter is the best for expansion, right? So if you want to expand that, really, I have not done anything advanced here really to expand it to the extent that no other tool does it right now, right? So you can see it's really a few hundred of lines of code. Albeit this is not an easy way to code for anyone, but you really see here, just a few lines of code here and there, and bam, you're sending stuff to OpenTelemetry. You are creating the spans yourself. You are adding the attributes. You listen to the browser calls, stuff like that, right? So that's just because it's easy, right? It was made to be expanded. It was meant to be, an engine for the load testing, as opposed to being a complete solution, right? The commercial tools, they aim to be a full package, but then if you expect a custom implementations, you may hit a wall somewhere there, right? So it all depends on your needs, and it all depends on what you're trying to achieve. In most cases, getting with a commercial solution is going to be much easier and much faster to get proper results. Learning JMeter to this extent, when it actually gives you valid value, it takes years. It literally takes years to understand its caveats, its downfalls, and how to use that, right? But after that, we can, if you have a custom requirements, if you have a custom protocols you want to support, it's still a valid option, right? So it's not the best, but if you really want a custom functionality, custom reporting, then that's one of the options, right? But of course, if you have some ideas, if you want some options, and you're using a commercial tool, you can still contact the guys that develop this stuff, and they are also open for suggestions, right? So if you have some idea that may change the way others work, why not just proposing it? Cool. And I think that's it for today. So thank you again, and have a nice day. Oh, that's nice to hear. Thank you.